Devotional, the Depeche Mode Experience.
Like last year, touched this subject.
Yeah.
I lost my mom due to COVID complications, and it was a tough year last year.
Yes, and we talked about this, and
Yeah.
you did do an announcement,
Hmm.
and a lot of people were praying for you
Yeah.
and
Thank you.
praying for
Thank
your
you. Thank
family,
you.
and it was hard to hear,
Yeah.
and then to say that you were stepping away,
Hmm.
and I think like I said before, that I remember thinking in that moment when I read that is he needs some time to grieve. He needs this time. I didn't believe at the time that you were going to be gone, gone. So then when, I heard you were, I was like, this is what your parents wanted you to do, do it.
Yeah.
And it honors them. I think you speak to that. Like,
Well, my parents. I mean, I love my parents. I have been luckiest to have the parents that I had. They supported not just me, my brother, my sister. They're very supportive. And they taught us, hey, you can reach your dreams, but you have to have something to fall back. And I always did. I always wanted my parents to be proud of me and my accomplishments in life.
yeah,
And I'm glad that my dad and mom got to see me at the OC Fair. Like, oh my God, just like,
yeah,
and seeing them and then shouting, oh, my parents are here. And, my mom, I remember when I would have fans like, hey, I was next to your mom. She's so nice. And,
yeah.
and she's so, you guys have this, we have the same face. It's like,
Gotcha. Yeah, I've seen the pictures. It is. It's like,
as a matter of
yeah.
fact, I'm wearing this today because this is a memory of my mom. She used to wear this. This
Okay.
is her.
It fits you.
And her ring. She's wearing this ring. So I, it was a big loss for me to lose my mom. I didn't expect her. She was
And this
75.
was, she was
January. Well,
January
she
of,
ended up getting COVID like the tail end of December.
mm-hmm.
I did a New Year's show. I spoke to her on New Year's because I spoke to my mom every day. And then
Yeah.
I spoke to her during New Year's Day. And then on January 2nd, my sister calls me and tells me, I had to take mom to the hospital. I'm like, what? Why? She's like, her oxygen levels are low.
Okay.
It's like, oh my God. And I was just, so it was a hard 33 days my mom fought. All of
Yeah.
January. This is like the month that it happened. So every day was just painful my anxiety levels was off. I couldn't sleep. My sister would send me texts. Okay, I talked to the doctor, and we would get 3 reports during the day and how mom was doing. And she was fighting it. And my mom was just fighting until, I don't know, something happened towards the end. And I got that call where my sister all had to say, Freddie, I need you to come to the hospital.
Mm.
I was like, oh my God. And that drive was just quiet. I ended up picking my sister, my aunt, my mom's sister, to come with me. And I got to the hospital. It was out in Moreno Valley. My sister was the one who was closest, so she got there first before my brother and I. And when I arrived to the hospital, I saw my sister and my brother already out, and my sister had this bag, and I was like, that looks like my mom's belongings.
Yeah.
And as I approached, and she just said, mom didn't make it. And when she said that, I don't know, my heart just, I lost it. And, they were having the protocols during that time. You just couldn't. So I rushed to the front counter. I say, I need to get in there. I don't
Yes.
care. You got to take a COVID test. I'll take it. I need to get in there.
Yeah.
You understand? I haven't seen my mom, and that walk to her room was just terrible. And my mom was full of life. And my mom was just the light of our family. And to see her lifeless, knowing that I couldn't be there to say goodbye, to tell her how much I appreciated her. Sorry, I'm getting a little emotional.
No, but she
This,
knew.
this is my
She knew
first time
that.
talking about that, and luckily I'm glad that my sister was there to see her last breath, and to send her off, and that changed my life. Once you lose your parents, and I was very close to my parents.
And when did your father pass?
My father passed 9 years ago. He had complications with cancer too.
Okay.
He passed in 2013, December 15th, at 77 years of age. And now my mom, and I just like I began the year, not only that, so my uncle too ended up getting COVID. It was just that whole whatever Delta with whatever that was happening during
The
that time,
variant
the
time.
variants, and he ended up spoke. It's funny because I spoke to my uncle 2 weeks when my mom was already in the ICU. And then he ended up getting infected. And then he was admitted to the ICU. And then, so my mom passed on February 5th, and then my uncle passed February 6th.
Oh my
That makes sense.
gosh.
Yeah, so it was like, I get a text from my cousins like, oh, your uncle passed. I'm like, what? So it was just like boom, boom, one after the other. And then just recently, just December of the 26th, my aunt, my dad's sister, who fought for cancer for a long time, 10 years too, passed away on December 26th. But the difference is I was able to be there for, we were all there. And sometimes I think I was like, I wish I wish we were there for mom, but that's just the way things are.
You were though.
You know,
You were there.
So
You know.
I've learned a lot. My life has changed since
How,
that experience.
just briefly, because we don't want to impose, but
No.
how has it changed since now that because I know a lot of people who lose both their parents, they kind of feel orphaned a little bit. So how has that changed, and how did that make you kind of revamp and think about the future and your vision for the future?
Well, I'm lucky that I'm very close to my sister and my brother. Yeah, you feel like an orphan. You feel like, but then again, like even though they're not here, I discipline myself. Like okay, I know they're not here. This is what mom and dad wouldn't want me to do.
Okay.
And some people when they go through something like that, they end up doing other things. You know, substances, alcohol, get away from the pain. And for me, I just got more into my spiritual belief. I embrace Islam. That's kind of like, I'm just speaking my own experiences. That religion has helped me to accept the passing of my parents.
Oh.
It's helped me to kind of just be connected to the Almighty, and that's how I live my life. And every day we're here as a test. This world is a test for us.
Yes.
So
Yes,
I
absolutely.
appreciate. I wake up in the morning. I give thanks, and I try to do the very best. Reach out to the people who I love. Not get involved with the bullying that we see now on social media, and it feels like after this pandemic we've gotten so separated. There's no that human contact. Where, are you okay? How are you doing? Do you need anything?
Yes.
And from that experience, I try to kind of say, you know what? Remind my parents. I remind my friends who still have their parents. Hang out with your parents. When was the last time you talked to your dad? They're not going to be here. Or reach out, go and they're like, thanks, Freddie, for reminding me. Yeah, because they're your parents.
So you've through this experience and through just really connecting with God. So it's been more prayer life, more loving people, a lot more compassion on yourself, maybe, and other people.
Yes, very, very compassionate. I mean, I love people, and I mean, Muslims, we pray 5 times a day, and I have that schedule now, which is very important for me. I that's kind of like the discipline that I have.
You needed that.
I needed that.
Yeah.
To be I was already connected to God, but now I'm much more connected to God because for me and what we believe in, there's an afterlife, and for me, I'm also preparing myself for the afterlife.
Right.
That's what I believe in. So it's helped me to move on because life is hard.
It is hard.
It's gotten a lot harder for people after the pandemic.
Especially if there's no hope, right? And I think a lot that when we're believing in God, that allows us to have hope that this is not the end.
Yes, this is not the end, and that's what I've learned during my journey now with Islam, and I've met brothers and sisters who are we're just very united. We help each other out, and it's beautiful to have that. And